Hello, welcome to Bars and Bells. My name is Lauren.
And I'm Ian.
And this is our weekend body weight workout. So all you need is a body, optional bed head, maybe a little side of coffee, and it's a top-notch kind of time.
Oh, Ron McLean, we're coming for your job. So this is, again, a nice simple practice. It's our first practice of the second semester. So let's review those basics, start with some crawls, and work towards that ultimate skill, the handstand. But until then, let's easily transition to the floor with a start at the feet. Get to the ball of the foot, check. Get to the toe point those toes in this practice a lot of the times, and then back to the balls of the feet, a really quick rise up, test that balance, and then alternate, land on the other foot. Then we're pulling the leg to the middle, and we're gently pointing through those toes. We'll never ask you to stand on them, but shoot energy out of the toes as you go back to the balls of the feet, and then we're right up to a balance, and then back down. Stiff legs will be a theme today, also some bent legs. So let's bend a single leg while we're still on that demi point or the balls of foot on the other side, and press the hip through, find our nice tall rise, single leg down on the other side. It's the same effort. We'll gently sink into the squat, load the calf, load the hip, check in with the body, push through and balance. And this time, just hold that toe balance for a little longer. Use your balance aid at the side if you need, or check out your partner. Or check out the room and challenge that vestibular system, a fancy word for balance. Then flat feet, then knees bend. We'll get right to the floor as the heels can come up to facilitate that extra range, and very quietly, knees down, hips through. Let's spend a second on these knees here with the hips extending forward, that cat and cow tuck. Right now, it's that subtle posterior tuck or a cat shape in the hip. The rib cage is pulled down. We're breathing, not too much of that brace tension on the abs right here in this practice, but always connect those ribs to hips. But then we'll hinge in the sense of pressing hips back and finding fingers, calluses, and full hands on the floor. We'll go back up to the top quickly and extend the neck, meaning looking forward. Then a little bit of a chin tuck. Repeating sets of 2 here. As we open the fingers, we'll look forward. And gripping the floor, we'll tuck our chin one more time. Then looking at those hands, let's get into that first knuckle push-up. Quick crack a little bit perhaps, and then back to full hands on the ground. And then same thing, balls of hands, just like those feet and toes earlier, and down. First knuckle push-ups, only about 4 or 5 here, but in your own, maybe sets of 10 to increase that wrist strength. And then we'll push through with our shakeout. A quarter turn at the wrists, fingers, calluses, hands. And a useful skill for the handstand is being able to push one way and go the other. So I push to the right and I send my energy to the left. And here I'm pushing to that left side, moving to the right. Repeat just about 1 more each, feeling the fingertips grip and sharing the load that it's not just on the wrist itself, but shared all the way to the hands. Then if we went back up to the head and neck, easy does it. Lateral bend, head on neck. The neck moves very little as the head moves side to side. And lift up and over to go to the one side, up and over to go back. Finish in the middle, push the floor away, and again, a little shake. There's one more movement, that's one more movement for me, but we're beyond the peace sign this time as you make gentle fists, hinging on the hips, land on the index and middle finger, then pull those shoulder blades low. Open one hand, meaning fingertips could touch the floor, and then gently flex or bend over the wrist. Push down to go up, a good theme for that handstand as well. And then we'll switch to the other side as the fingers open. We can round or flex over the wrist, but keep that armpit or shoulder low and back to stack. Final time, easy does it over on the wrist flexion. We can see Lauren's elbows nice and straight there. Coaching yours to be the same. And it doesn't need to touch the floor, but we would like to have that shoulder blade packed and the elbow straight as those requisites first. The very last thing is maybe just come back down to those hands and just play with some weight transfers here. Maybe go front forward, a little bit of a side to side, and hopefully after a really quick wrist warm up there, your wrists feel ready to rock in some of Lauren's favorite crawls and movements. But I'll leave that up to Lauren. What's next?
We're going to take a little minute off those wrists. So let's lift our knees up, lift those hips, walk ourselves back up to standing, warm up. Did I say take a minute off the wrists?
Yes,
I think
you did.
so. Okay, good.
Yes, you did.
I meant take a minute off the wrists and warm up those hips, and then we'll come back down for a quick core and First set of crawls. For the hips, let's stand, taking a leg to the front, rotating it open, showing the inseam forward, placing it back underneath, and repeating on the other side. From this slightly turned out position, let's start just with some straight leg balances. So take a leg and point it away from you, reaching long. As you do that, try to keep that hip zone or the bowl of punch nice and level. As well as your upper body is stacked, avoid being a little coffee pot.
Ooh.
Then place down, pull yourself over, and get yourself stacked. Little single leg balance here. Standing leg, hip is pushed forward. Butt cheek is squeezed. Braced lightly, then land toe ball heel. Let's do that one more time on each side. Maybe even thinking about shifting your weight to the ball of your feet, considering finding a rise in space, and then controlling the down.
You did more than consider there. You did it.
I did. Consider it on the side. Maybe take it to the next step, which is action. Up, control the down. And we'll come back to that first leg where we'll stickity stack over here. Now with this half of our body and 3/4 of our body nice and stable, we'll rotate our moving leg. So let's just take that leg and bring it to the front. Noticing that nothing else moved, we'll bring the leg to the side. Now let's turn the leg in over there, hiding the inseam, and then turn the leg open into external rotation. Bring the leg to the front again, and let's try that out here. Rotate the big femur bone in from the hips, and then rotate it open. And because it felt so good, let's do it again. Rotate it in, and then rotate it open. With it open and the hips pushing forward, send the leg to the side. We'll do the same thing on the other side. We'll land toe ball heel. We'll pull ourselves over and get stacked. Everything's stationary, and we'll just move the leg to the front, and then move the leg to the side. Then from here, we'll turn the leg in at the side and then open, bring it to the front, and we did it twice out here. I like to keep my toe connected to the floor as I rotate the leg in and then rotate it open. One more time, rotate it in without hiking your bowl of punch up and rotate it open. Send the leg to the side, land toe ball heel. Let's finish between 2 feet and try to find a balance here. We'll drive down into the floor, pressing down to go up, trying to pull the kneecaps up, send the hips forward, inside of heels, pushing forward, hold, 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 then descend nice and softly, click your heels together, and give that a little shake out. Now that our wrists have had some time off, our hips are doing this, we will come to the floor and experience our first crawl here today. Our first crawl will be a little bit of hamstring, a little bit of core, a little bit of movement. It's gonna be fun. What we do to get there is we forward fold. So with T-Rex arms and blades together, our chin lightly tucks. We flex and round through our spine. So we're trying to round through that cage, pulling our belly button in. Our weight is shifted in our 4 feet here as we roll and round forward. Right now, we're going to walk ourselves out into our first plank position. So in this plank position, our hands are underneath our shoulders. Our hips are up in line with our shoulders. Our feet are about hip width apart. Our cheeks are squeezing, our abs are braced, and we're lightly pulling the floor together underneath you. If I came through the screen, lifted up your feet, you'd go right up into a handstand. I won't do that because that's cool but impossible. Now lift the hips up into your A-frame or your elephant shape. Can you walk your feet all the way in towards your hands, keeping your hands as flat as you can? Breathe. Whew. Now walk those hands forward into another plank. Think about peeling the palms off the floor as you walk. Again, hips are up, cheeks are squeezed, abs are braced, breathing underneath. Everything's tight. Then hips lift, and again, walk those feet towards the hands. Could you get a millimeter closer? Oh yeah. And one last time, we'll walk those hands forward, peeling the floor away. Always land on the palms and the fingers. None of these weird hands, tripod hands. And then hold, breathe, brace, squeeze. And one more time, walk those feet in. Could you get even closer now? As you stand up, push the floor away through your hands, tuck your chin, and slowly stack yourself up one vertebrae at a time till your head is last to land. Woo-wee, and go back to your side of the room.
Get back to your side of the room and let's get off of those hands. If we want to improve, strengthen a push-up or strengthen that handstand, pay attention to the strength and endurance required to the most basic or smallest parts of that movement, namely the wrists. From Lauren's hip turns, let's continue that and explore our movement clock. This time we'll pull up a single leg to the ankle and then point out, extending on the knee. Land toe ball heel, pull your energy forward, and Lauren will push towards me to go backwards with a straight leg. Pull up that same leg and reach on the diagonal to that 10 and 2 o'clock on a clock position on a clock. Toe ball heel, feel the pull, a push, together. Then knee forward, knee side, point, toe ball heel, level bowls of punch here as we push one way and go the other. And then knee front, knee side, keep looking forward as we turn, and then we'll land to that back 8 or 4 o'clock corner and push through, straight legs return. And now the knee stays in the same place as you drag the foot to the back, extend the knee, meaning straighten, and then scissor or pull yourself into a nice single leg squat variation like Lauren's showing there, and then push through, knees connect, nice and tall. And then it's the same thing on the other side. Pull up to the ankle, point out front, land toe ball heel. Feel the pull effort to go forward and the push effort to go back. Knee to that ankle position, open to the diagonal, point the knee, land toe ball heel, and pull and push, straight legs. Out to the side, this one I feel does show the level hips the best. So where are those hips for you? And then push together. It's to the back corner, but the knee goes front, the knee goes side. We still look forward, and then we'll land to the corner and push there to return and drag the foot to the back, extend on the knee, heel lands, scissor pull, and then push out the back to connect the knee, and we're tall on that standing leg to clear the foot underneath. And then from the squat, it's back to the hands.
All right, we are going to explore our bear crawl this time, regular old-fashioned bear, and then next time around, we are going to get a new bear move.
Wild bears.
Wild bears. Right now, we'll hip hinge this time, so pushing the hips back. We'll tip ourselves forward and just come to your 6-point position, which is hands under shoulders, knees under hips, and toes tucked. Let's pattern this bear with knees down for 4 steps forward and 4 steps back. Opposite hand and leg lift off the floor at the same time, taking a mini step in the forward direction. As you do this, try to imagine that fancy bowl of water on your back, and you don't want to spill it so your core is nice and braced. Now let's go in the backwards direction for 4. It's still contralateral. We're breathing. We're flicking the floor away. Last step, and then line up your hands and line up your knees again. Put the bowl of water back on your back, and either repeat with your knees down if you felt that was hard enough, which is it can be, or lift the knees just slightly off the floor. Same thing in the forward direction, opposite hand and foot. They don't have to be big steps. Try to keep the knees the same distance off the floor the whole time. Don't get too crumpled together here. We'll take about 2 more steps in the forward direction. If you need a break, take it, but now could you go backwards? Breathing and bracing. No twisting. Pushing the floor away. Trying to lift hand and foot or hand and knee at the same time here. Last step. Whew. Then lift the hips up, walk yourself back to your hinge, and press yourself through to tall.
Nice. Core stability, working on the mobility, and again, the endurance piece on those hands. So check in. Regressing back to the knees in that 6-point position, or hovering yourself away, pick the variation that's right for you. And shake it out or do a twist in between. But right now, we're back to that movement clock variation that is to number 2. So on the single leg this time, we'll reach the other leg out front. Then both hips press forward to return the leg. Diagonal reaches next. Zero to very little tension on that laterally facing leg, and back up to tall. The hips are staying forward throughout, and here, just like in Lauren's warm-up, can we turn out on that laterally facing leg? But then now let's turn in on that laterally facing leg or to the back corner and then underneath. The final one for that side is just directly to the back, knee over toes we can see on Lauren, and then press through, finishing tall. Repeating on the other side. Reaching to the front, keeping those femur bones sucked into those hip sockets with those side butt cheek muscles. And then we're reaching to the diagonal and then back up tall. Aim to have that leg turned out, showing the inseam forward, and then back to tall. And now turn that leg in, reaching to that back corner, finishing tall yet again. And then it's to the back. Challenge the balance, make sure we're breathing, and back up to that middle position, and then a shake and a wiggle and a scratch.
All right, we're coming down to fancy bear here today. So let's make our way to the floor to get to that bear position. We'll explore it from there. We'll do the hinge again because that's a nice way to get there. Then we'll tip forward and come down to our bear. So our bear will be elevated knees off the floor, but we're going to pattern this first with our knees down a little bit. We can't really, so we're going to have to hover. We're going to hover right away. Next, we're going to lift our arm, and we're going to sweep through to end up, let's stay on screen here.
Get on screen.
To end up in what looks like our tall sit from our get up. Right now, my bottom's on the floor, my leg is out nice and straight. I have that bent knee and my arm across the chest. To get back to a bear, we'll lift the hip and the leg up. We'll sweep through and end up back to berry. Same thing other side. Hand and foot leave the floor. Pivot away from the hand that's on the floor. Opening up. Pack that bottom shoulder. Long leg. We'll lift hip and leg and sweep it back through. Let's try that one more time each side. Opposite hand and foot. Sweep through, land for the first time. Chest is lifted, shoulders packed. Then lift. Sweep back through, bear. One-ish more time. Opposite hand and foot. Away from the standing leg hand or the planted hand. Then lift and sweep through. Let's just put our knees down. Take a second off the wrist. We're going to try that one more time each side. 2 more times each side. And this time, if you want, can we keep that long leg hovered off the floor the whole time? If you're just getting used to coordination, stick with the same one we just did. Here we go. Opposite hand and foot. Lift, pivot. Could we keep this leg up this time? And then pivot back to center. Other side. Lift, pivot, keep the leg up, and back to center. One more time each way here. Lift, pivot, and through. And last time, lift, pivot, and through. Hips will lift up. Walk yourself back to that hinge position. Press to tall. Whew.
Wiggle and some squats.
Roar. Get it? Wiggle and roar.
I do get it.
Thank you.
But you didn't roar, you just said it. Then we're here in our squatting position again. Is that a narrow stance for you? Not quite for me right now. I want to open up a little bit wider. This Chico Inspire movement, again, focuses on the weight transfers and acclimates to that squat. Let's pull ourselves down into a squat position. And as we stand up, straight legs together. Then we'll pick up the foot, point through the knee, land in your similar squats position, and same thing, tight legs. Repeat that again or follow along the progression, which is down on 2 and finding your single leg base of support. And then point and land and repeat on a single leg base of support. Open the leg, repeating again or climbing that leg towards the knee, pointing and landing, and same thing. Straight and squeezing bum cheeks for stability. This last one, let's break the level hips rule and instead explore some of those other spaces out to the side and come home safe in a squat. And the final one, break those rules. Rules are meant to be followed and broken at the same time. Don't kick your partner in the face. And then push your hip through. I know, I thought it was funny.
Oh, yeah, it was funny. All right, we're going to come back to the floor. And this time, we're going to become a different animal, a lizard. Let's get back to that forward fold again. So blades together, chin tucks, flex and round. Try to keep the blades together as you curl your rib cage. Curl your cage. That's crazy, dog. I know, try it. Pull your belly button in. Keep your weight shifted forward. Then we'll walk ourselves out into our plank. Let's hold a little plank, because why not? Then let's lift a foot and try to bring that foot up and place it next to our hand. Breathing. First, I like to think about reaching my front knee forward and reaching my back heel back and squeezing my back butt cheek as I split myself in 2. Then I'm going to pull everything back to center, try to lift the front foot off the floor and place it back where I got it. Other side, lift leg, lift it up and place it. If you find the floor too difficult, you could raise the floor up, yoga blocks, ottoman, and do it from a higher surface. We're reaching away from center, then we're pulling back, lifting, and placing back. First leg again, lift, place. Now, back knee is going to come down here. We're going to keep our spine nice and long, our knee lightly opening to the side from the butt cheek, and then can we flick the floor away with the back toe and squeeze our back butt cheek, trying to curl that hamstring up, but to keep the hip extended and not dump into our low back. Back foot, toe will curl, lifting knee, pull tension together to lift foot, place it back, other side. Foot comes up, reaching long and away. Then knee comes down, flicks toe, try to curl, put some tension through that hamstring, try to keep this hip extended. Then foot comes down, tucks toe, foot reaches to lift back. This time I want you to step your feet a little wider. Walk your hands back to your feet, ending up in your low squat position here. Chest is lifted, knees are pushing out. We're breathing. We could rock a little from side to side, and then we'll push the floor away, coming up to tally tall. Ooh, that was the lizard.
Lots of time on those wrists. It has been a couple weeks. In all honesty, we kind of slacked off on our last semester. Lauren's calf, heavy gravity days, they kind of align. So we too enjoy some sleep-ins, but we're very grateful to be here. But our wrists are saying, whoa, it's a lot of work. So please check in, as always, with your own bodies. Back to one last variation of our squat here today. Let's pull up to that single leg on the ankle, and on a single leg this time, descend into that forward-facing ski squat. Then extend the hip forward, pressing over the knee. And let's do that twice more for a set of 3. Pull yourself down. The knee stays forward as Lauren is pressing that hip over the knee. One final time, pull yourself low and press the hip forward. And as an additional option or balance here, find that ball of the foot by pressing the hips forward, keeping the rib cage down, and then slowly return a flat foot. Then the other foot lands toe ball and push the hips through to straighten the knee. A shake, a wiggle, and 3. 1, 2. Ooh, don't leave that finger up there. And same thing, other side. It's the knee over toe and the hip that presses over it to extend and cramp the glutes. And repeat, soften the down, absorbing that landing, and press the hip through, finishing tall. It's the final one for us here as we pull ourselves down and then push yourself through, calibrate your balance. And if you challenge the balance on the toes, great. Or again, additional repetitions and time under tension with your room scan could be a nice modification as well. Return to the ground, toe ball heel, shake it out, and back to the zoo.
Let's do one more activity today. This time we are going to integrate where we'll go in the future, which is towards our handstand. So one of the drills we like to do is kind of one more crawl, because I just thought of the one I wanted to finish with. So we're going to do our plank where we go up to our 3-point down dog, lift the leg, keep the hips closed. Let's get there via our hinge. Chop your hips, walk yourself out in your plank position first. So in that plank, we're holding tight, tight, tight. Then we're going to lift a foot, flicking the floor away. Hips will lift towards the ceiling. Hips stay closed towards the floor. Leg reaches, point the toes. Now pull yourself back through to your plank and repeat. Flick the floor away. Lift the hips, but keep them closed. Reach long, pull through. One more time on each side. Breathe. Floor pushes away. Lifts, stay square. Pull yourself back through to that plank, and one last time. We're asking you to stay square here because if we open up when we kick into that handstand, we'll go sideways. Pull yourself back through. Let's finish holding that plank. Then hips lift. Walk your hands back to your feet. Extend through your spine, pushing your hips through. Whew. And so we have one more crawl, but in a second. It's not really a crawl. It's more like...
You're talking about the crab?
Yeah.
Excellent. So let's just work on the hinging on a single leg, which then could be consistent then with what that position on the floor looked like then as well.
Oh, I was thinking a flamingo.
Kind of. A flamingo met an ostrich maybe. Single leg deadlift, single leg hinge, or just gently practicing our handstand entry here. Your arms could be overhead or just out in front, and take a leg to the front and land toe ball heel. Then transfer weight to that front leg, and a single leg hinge here would be ending up reaching towards the floor.
Are you bending your standing
Then-
leg knee?
No! And
You
then
said
press
hinge,
through.
so I didn't
Press
know.
through nice and tall. Then same thing other side as the leg goes forward and land toe ball heel. Then hinging on that leg, hinging on the hip towards the floor, and then push around. This is a nice foundational skill. You try that one more time on how I like to get into that handstand with that step in entry, fingers, calluses, full hands if available, and then push the floor away. And final repetition here. And Lauren's hip cue of staying closed, very consistent here. Keep the hips, the flashlights, the headlights, the fronts of the hips there, facing forward or the ground the whole time. We'll continue to work on that skill next week, but as Lauren finishes off today's practice with...
We'll come to the floor. Let's try to get to the floor without using your hands. All right,
Awesome.
Now that we're there, we'll place our hands facing backwards away from our body and our toes facing away from our body with our knees bent. Our shoulders shrug up into our ears, and then they gently push away. We'll lift the hips up off the floor. And now from here, we're going to lift the hips continuing up to our tabletop position. In this tabletop here, hips are pushing, squeezing glutes, bracing abs. Now starting at the pelvis, tip the tailbone towards the back wall and try to slide these hips all the way back underneath you to maybe even get to your L-sit. Then hips lift back up towards the ceiling. Let's do that 2 more times. Slide the hips between the hands, reach them back. If you can't lift both legs, try to lift one leg, and then the other leg, and both legs. And one last time, hips up, and then slide back underneath. I'm gonna change my hand position for this one. Slide the hips back under, lift and hold.
There you go.
And then back up and down.
And the last challenge, perhaps, with no hands. Let's stand up again and finish today's practice with a thank you and a good work, and a thank you and a good work. And yes, hit that like and subscribe and share button, please. And we really hope that you enjoyed today's practice. That last crab to L-sit represents that last minute of craziness that we do like to finish with the practice. Normally, we'll try the handstand, but it's been some time. So welcome to session 1, and we look forward to sharing next week at session 2, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.
As well, next week we have everything going into week 2. So the kettlebell class on Tuesday, the bar class on Thursday, and this class on Saturday. In between there, check out YouTube live or archive videos for things you can practice throughout the week, as well as our website, Patreon. Like and subscribe. Until next time, take care
Stay strong.
and let's train soon.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.